Hey everybody, chosen ones, welcome to my channel. My name's Nathan, and I'm still not making a lot of videos, but I am getting better. Uh, Prayers are working, and amazing things are happening. Even in the turmoil, even in the destruction of everything that we see going on around us, you have to block it out. It's like static. It's just a distraction. Like in baseball, you got to keep your eye on the ball, which is Jesus, right? There's only one way out of this. You can choose any way you like, but there's only one way to get out clean, and that's with Jesus, with our Father, with our Savior. Somebody contacted me yesterday, which was a huge blessing. Someone I hadn't talked to in years and years, and forgiveness was extended, and things were put to bed, and that's a wonderful thing to move forward. And not everybody is against you, but be very careful. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about therapy. And how I finally learned how to regulate emotions and deal with explosive rage, anger, things like that. Drugs, sex, pornography, it's all connected. And so without wasting a lot of time, let me just tell you how therapy really started. I mean, obviously, as a young man, I went to several regular rehabs, 30-day rehabs. Nothing stuck. And, anger wasn't an issue. It was always dealing with the drugs, right? Well, so I never got any real help. And part of my sentencing was a request to go to Tier 4 therapy in Marion State Prison, which wasn't guaranteed. The judge cannot decide anything for DOC and vice versa. So I did my first year in Orlando, which is a heavily secured processing center, reception center. I was permanent party there for a year, and then I was shipped to Marion. I had several choices, but if you do clean time without any write-ups, they will give you a little more leeway. And so I figured, well, man, this is great. I'll be able to go to Tier 4. And I put the request in and woke up one morning and they shipped me to Okaloosa, way up in the Panhandle, which is a dead-end lifer prison. And the warden told us that day, you'll never get out of Okaloosa. You'll end your sentence here. It's called EOS. Well, I didn't like hearing that. And I damn near got killed up there. A couple bad things happened, and I got on the wrong side of the psych department, who was a retired FBI agent, and really was just there to inflict pain and misery on folks. So I went to my legislature, I went to my state representative, I went to the judge, I wrote a lot of letters, and they, about 6 or 7 months later, shipped me to Marion State Prison. Not a good place. The very first day, you're brought into the Sally Port, and you're isolated from general population, and you're put into a dormitory with just the people off the bus. And you're given a choice. You can... well, it's not much of a choice, but... You better be cleaning or doing something in that dormitory they tell you you're going to be in there for 30 days to be observed and to go to Tier 4 therapy. Anybody that rejects Tier 4 therapy is going to be punished, sent to the box. You'll do your time in the box and then go to general population. And I didn't want to go to the box. I wanted therapy, so I stuck it out and I went and I got in, and it's behavioral modification. Later on I read a book, and it was called Cruel and Unusual Punishment. And the library had been censored, so I couldn't find anything out about Tier 4. But in that book, there was one chapter devoted to Tier 4, which began in California in the 60s to control the Muslim population. But we're talking about a complete breakdown of the psyche, doing things wrong or anything, just looking at your past. If you get out of line, they'll put you in the restroom with 40 toilets, and you have to scrub the urinals with a toothbrush with a sign around your neck while the restrooms are open, and scrub that urinal 24 hours a day until they decide, you've done enough punishment. I met a lawyer there named Mr. Hootman. He had killed his partner, and he was a well-known criminal defense attorney in his 60s, and he got first-degree murder, charged with first-degree murder, and beat the case down to a second-degree murder. You can look it up. It's on file. It's J.R. Hootman, and can't remember the case number, but it's easily, you can find it easily on Google. And I asked Mr. Hootman. They had all shunned him. He was going through Tier 4 therapy, but mostly everybody called him Pops and isolated him. They thought he was strange. They had shaved his head. He used to have long hair, and he was a really cool, like, he raced cars. He traveled the world. He was wealthy, and I finally got to talk to him, and I asked him, what about violence? What about, I have this problem, right? And I need help. What therapies? This Tier 4 is total. It's detrimental, and all the people that were involved in the Tier 4 therapy are now in federal prison. My therapist, the director, the assistant director, all those people that I trusted are in federal prison. And a lot of the cops and the COs, there was a big investigation, and many of them went to federal prison. But I always knew something was wrong. And he told me, he said, therapy, they don't know. You could go to rage therapy and go into a room and beat teddy bears and pillows, but those folks just tend to rage more. And he said, and then there's the other group that meditates and chants and finds, their chi and all that stuff, and they internalize it and explode. And that's what I've learned. And I finally, he told me, he gave me a list of books. He said, go read these books, and you'll have an Ivy League education when you get out of here. And I did what he asked me to do. And through that process, learned a lot. I read all the psych books. I read all the law books in the library. And especially in confinement. I declared a psychological emergency, and I was placed in a blue room naked for 7 days, I believe. Psychology came around. He said, I can help you get out of the punishment. They're going to put you in confinement. He says, I can sign you up for therapy here at the prison and help you get. I said, no, I don't want out of the consequences. I don't want you helping me. I said, I'm not asking for your help. I said, I declared the psychological emergency to get out of that program. I don't care what they do to me, but I'm not doing that stuff anymore. And he says, I understand. Well, he did sign me up, and I wound up seeing that man every week for a year after that. But long story short, I went to 7 different prisons because of that huge mistake. State of Florida wanted some payback. They put me on diesel therapy, and I got a lot of people in trouble when I wrote paper, and I got some officers demoted by writing complaints. Anyways, so I did. I went to the box, and then after that I went to the farm. I was punished severely, but I kept going to my therapy, and eventually, transferred to all the other places, and got out of prison, but was not healed. And eventually I found a man named Douglas Bonar, and I'm going to tell you, it's called The Way to Wholeness. All right? And the equality wheel and the violence wheel. People will tell you a million different things. You know, oh, it's a chemical imbalance, or you're this, or you're that, or you're the other thing. But after all those years and after all the prayer, what I found was God would not remove your free will. And, you know, if I make a decision to nurse the anger or the resentment or whatever it is, it festers and becomes like cancer. So the Bible also has many, many warnings against the angry man. And I read them all, and they scared me. And then I realized what I was doing, you know, that I was literally hurting the people that I yelled at. Even that if I thought I was right, it's so much better to not get angry. And for years and years to not get angry. That to me is like being let out of prison. It's a miracle. It's a gift. And so what Douglas told me was, and this guy was a Vietnam veteran. He had killed people. He knew what it was like. And the anger of the enemy when they would do bad things to your friends, you know, your fellow soldiers, you'd want to get payback, and they would get very angry. And so he had been through all of that, and he dealt with guys in prison, you know, got lifers, murderers, rapists, that people that were never getting out, and had succumbed to their rage, their anger, and resentment, which leads to physical fights eventually, or murder, manslaughter, whatever. And I'll tell you how I met Douglas in another video, because I don't want to make it too long, but he said, you have a prefrontal lobe disconnect when you get angry. When I get angry, imagine that you are a thermometer. Your body's a thermometer, and the top is the big bulb at the top of the thermometer. And if you allow that pressure and anger to build, it'll blow the top. And you have that prefrontal lobe disconnect, and you can no longer make a rational decision. And that's the same with drugs or any other things that we're doing that are wrong. If we want Father to help us, we have to begin to help ourselves and to acknowledge that I have a problem. And so through that, the prayers, I finally got to this. Father, if I ever feel angry again, may I only feel the sorrow that I would inflict on somebody else before I ever get angry. Let me feel that first. Slow to anger, quick to understanding, self-control. These are all gifts of the Spirit, fruit of the Spirit. And so you have precursors, which your hands might shake. You're in an antagonistic situation. There's a fight developing, and you don't know how to de-escalate. Well, the first thing is you have to de-escalate. You have to remove yourself from that situation. Stop immediately. Do not engage in that discussion that you know is going to make you angry. Walk away, find a place to sit down, and meditate. Calm down. For me, it's a life sentence. I'm enhanced, so I get automatically enhanced to a misdemeanor becomes a third-degree felony, and then I get a 15-year enhancement for prison. So I'm too old for that. I'm not interested. But I am interested in the power over that anger to not lose my self-control and lose all of my capacities. So you focus on a tree and a breeze or a bird chirping or flying or whatever it is, and connect and lower your heart rate, lower your blood pressure. Breathe, deep breathing. Become an observer and see that the world is a river, and you're standing on the shore of the river, and you observe your emotions, and they pass on that river, and then they disappear. This too shall pass. So suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts, whatever it is, you can have victory over that. And you can use the same things with pornography or relapsing on drugs. I did a lot of drugs. And so when I get emotionally disturbed, my first reaction is to go get some drugs and kill that pain. I don't want to feel it anymore. And I felt a lot of pain, man. and I enjoy my peace with Christ. And those things have been tested, you know. So then you can empathize with somebody else who's angry, and you can see that they are afflicted and dragged down by it, and you can feel for them. Man, I don't want to be like that. I don't want anybody to be like that. I wish we could all just calm down and reunite, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the division comes from the spiritual realm, and we're being sifted, and those that you're either on the right side of God or the wrong side of God. And I prefer to at least try to be on the right side of God, no matter what the criticisms are. It just doesn't matter. I do know that He always takes care of us. I always have what I need. Nothing more, nothing less. But I don't really ask for much. My daily bread, right? And that prayer was prayed a long time ago, and it was answered. But there is victory over the anger. It does cause more isolation. You might have to withdraw yourself from some relationships that are unhealthy or toxic. But then maybe the other person will see you have your boundaries, and I'm not going to allow those boundaries to be stepped on anymore, because the boundaries promote the peace. And we should all have respect, self-respect, and respect for those around us that causes us to see them as a divine creation of God, the Creator, and He loves them just as much as He loves you. So God bless them all, right? And hopefully this will help. You know, if you have a testimony, share your testimony. Make a video. You can have great impact. You have no idea how you might touch another person. So remember, once again, it's Douglas Bonar. He's an older. He's up there, but it's called The Way to Wholeness, and the structure of it is the equality wheel and the violence wheel. You can look all that up online. You can start by yourself. It's simply self-inspection, a fearless moral inventory. Because God sees us naked, right? We're born naked, we die naked, we come with nothing and we leave with nothing. So what do you got? Nothing. The rest of it is temporary. But what is permanent is the love of Christ and the words in the Bible. It never fails. And He will never let you go. He'll never ever stop trying to help you and heal you. Even in the deepest, darkest places, He'll come in and hang out with you. So hang out with Him. Call upon the Lord. Don't worry about all this stuff that's going on. If you're a Christian, if you're a believer, He's going to take us all the way to home plate. Right? Home run city, man. Triple header. This is a win. So just be blessed. May the angels of protection be with you, the guardian angels, and may the Holy Spirit be with you at all times. God bless you and keep you. Take care now.